This video is brought to you by Bokksu. Use my code Reina15 to get $15 off your order. Konnichiwa minasan, and welcome back to my Pregnant in Japan series. I am officially in my third trimester now. I just hit 7 months earlier this week. I do this every time, but I feel like you can't really see much. I look like this now. Yeah, she's just popping out. Reina Jr. moves a lot now. We are at the alien chest burster stage of movement, and it's extremely freaky. Sometimes she like stands up horizontally so you could see like this round head just like popping out from my stomach. Sometimes you can't really see that they're like feet or hands, but they're like nubs that are just like pah, and it looks very, very, very weird. She also does this very fun thing where she gets very active around midnight and she like spins around and you can feel it when they're like spinning. It's a really weird sensation. It feels very slimy. And then, I don't know what happens, but like she spins around and then she like punches or kicks down right into my crotch and I pee myself every night. I wear maxi pads to sleep now because I just do not want to wet my mattress, and that is like so much information. Anyway, I am devastatingly exhausted, and I've also stupidly taken on a new job, which I'm actually enjoying so much and I love it. However, I do not recommend taking on a new job when you are very pregnant. I can't really talk about it too much, but it's voice work, so it's perfect. However, I am so out of breath all the time. I feel like I can't control my diaphragm anymore. I say like 2 or 3 lines and I'm like, So yeah, that is how my days are going. Anyway, today I wanted to address a few common questions and comments I received in my last video about how I'm considered overweight in Japan, and just a few other comments from previous videos that I haven't addressed thus far. And then, if I have the energy, I wanted to take you guys to my shrine's Natsu Matsuri that's going on right now. So Natsu means summer and Matsuri means festival. Yes, there is a summer festival finally going on. It has been on hiatus for 2 years because of COVID. So it's a very big deal that they're actually doing it this year. If you've been following me for a while now, you know that Natsu Matsuri is my most absolute favorite thing about summer here in Japan. I will take the disgusting heat and humidity if I can enjoy Omatsuri. I unfortunately can't do too much. I can't participate in a lot of things like goldfish scooping or enjoying the food stalls because there will be a crowd and it is a little scary. But I really need to see it, at least from a distance, and who knows, maybe it's not that crowded randomly. I don't know, but yeah, I really want to take you guys and I want to enjoy it myself as well. So let's see if I have enough energy to go later. Okay, so let's get started with some of the comments. So first and foremost, I do think there was a little misunderstanding about the metabol law, which is where your employer has to pay a fine or a fat tax if you are overweight and employed full-time and over the age of 40 here in Japan. That does not apply to pregnant people whatsoever. I thought I was clear when I was explaining that that was an anecdote for how Japan views obesity and weight gain in general and how strictly it's controlled here. I pinned what I just said in the comments of that video as well, but I just like really wanted to make it clear, and I'm really sorry if I said it in a confusing manner. Japan's crazy, but not like that crazy. And next, the most common question I kept getting was basically, can I just refuse to lose the weight or refuse to control my weight? Can I just ignore the doctors? What would be the repercussions if I simply didn't listen to them and just did what I wanted? To be honest, I don't know what the actual consequences are. People are like, are they gonna like take your baby away? Are you gonna go to jail? I don't really know what the repercussions would be, but their main threat is that it's very unhealthy for the baby and the birthing process. And specifically for me, I will most likely need a C-section. And in order to properly anesthetize me for the C-section, they said that if I'm overweight, they can't get the dosing correct. So they will most likely have to bring me to a different hospital to take care of the anesthesia and the C-section and all that stuff. And like, that's like not in the birthing plan, and it may not be covered by insurance or something. And I know I just made that confusing because pregnancy is not covered by insurance in Japan. Like your prenatal visits, your OBGYN stuff, all that stuff is not covered by insurance in Japan. But if you have a C-section because it's medically necessary, some of that gets covered by insurance. But again, if I have to go to a different birthing hospital or like a major hospital because I'm overweight, my insurance may not kick in. So that is the major threat that they keep hitting me with. And I'm not gonna lie, that is like a little scary. That's like a legit threat, right? The other repercussion is just pure shame and annoyance. I don't wanna be shamed and lectured at every OBGYN visit. I do not want a nutritionist to call me incessantly. I don't wanna check my weight 3 to 5 times a day and log it. Like, I just don't wanna do any of those things. I'm luckily within range right now, but I'm just a few grams shy of being overweight again. So I just have to keep controlling what I'm eating, and I just have to keep walking. But yeah, it's not like the most stressful thing ever, but it does make me sad that there's a part of this pregnancy I just like purely cannot enjoy. But again, it's not really a big deal. I really would rather not have any complications. Oh yeah, by the way, the other complication that they keep threatening me with is gestational diabetes, which is very problematic. But yeah, I don't know, I don't have any markers for that, so it's not really like a viable threat. And a quick sidebar, speaking of birthing plans, I forgot that I didn't mention this in my previous videos, but it's a big deal. Epidurals are not common here in Japan. So much so that if you're in the Inaka countryside like I am, they don't offer it at all whatsoever. There are no hospitals, no birthing centers, nothing around me at all that offers epidurals. You only get anesthesia if you get a C-section. And if your baby is big, they still routinely give you episiotomies, which is when they preemptively, between your vagina and your butthole, it's supposedly an easier stitch and recovery than if you were to tear naturally. However, they don't do episiotomies in the US anymore because they concluded that it's not better and that you tear worse if you get episiotomies. I don't know what the hell to believe. And my cousin had it done with both her kids and she was like, yeah, it's normal. Is it? And then I asked her about epidurals and she literally said, what the hell is that? So yeah, it's awesome here. And sorry about that horrific detour. Let's go back to the comments. Baracus commented that humans are not lizards. We maintain our own heat. No need to worry about cooling off too much internally unless you're chomping down crushed ice 24/7. I wouldn't worry. Our Dutch birth doctors never warned us about internal overcooling, at least. Okay, so this is in reference to how Japan and other Asian countries believe that you shouldn't be eating cold food, not only when you're pregnant, but like in general. You shouldn't be consuming too many cold foods that cool you down from the inside. So our Asian belief system is that it takes a lot more energy to heat up your body after cooling it down or like ingesting something that cools you down. I don't think there's any like real medical credence to that. So specifically, you shouldn't be eating stuff like watermelons or cucumbers or ice cream, or I forgot what the other major like cold foods are. But yeah, you're not supposed to be eating too much of that. I don't know, it's silly. I eat all those things all the time. but it is a very real thing in Asia. C Law also commented, pregnancy superstitions, Chinese women avoid eating cold foods, ice cream, watermelon, mung bean, banana. I didn't know banana was considered a cold food, but yeah. See? So weird. Jerry Lynn also commented, that's right, Chinese or Taiwanese believe that less the cold stuff you eat, the better for the baby and the mother. It is a very prevalent thing in Asia. It just is. King Sabertooth says, good to know in Japan, cold food bad for babies. Nips of alcohol, no problem. Okay, so I did freak out a little bit about the like minimal amount of alcohol in the ice cream, and a lot of people commented that like it's for flavoring and that there's a surprising amount of alcohol in a lot of foods that you consume that you're not aware of. I just didn't like that it was listed like pretty high up in the ingredients list, and the fact that the ice cream specifically says if you're sensitive to alcohol, avoid this treat. I didn't like that. I feel like that's like a little bit more than just like a droplet. But again, I'm fine. The baby's fine. I didn't consume a lot of it, and even if I did, it would probably be fine. And Kawaii Kinomoto commented, as someone who eats strictly halal, I've learned to ridiculously carefully check ingredients on anything and everything in Japan. Japan is, for some reason, obsessed with gelatin. Like, I found mints that had gelatin, cookies that had gelatin, all types of bread, and of course sake or mirin or liquor as mentioned too. It's so weird. Why do you need gelatin or alcohol in everything, Japan? Okay, so this is the other big deal that I wanted to make and I didn't make very clearly. So thank you so much for commenting this. If you adhere to a certain type of diet like halal, it is a big deal that stuff like alcohol isn't disclosed in a more obvious manner in what you're consuming. Like, I wouldn't want my kid to be eating ice cream that has alcohol in it if there's ice cream that doesn't have alcohol in it. But yeah, more specifically on Kawaii Kinomoto's note, Japan really does love gelatin. It is very, very strange. I completely agree with you. Japan doesn't realize or understand that gelatin is not vegan. They don't realize that it's animal parts, and they don't think it's a big deal to like tell people, even if you're like, oh, I eat plant-based, or like, oh, I'm vegan. Gelatin is not one of the things that they know to warn you about. Next, Iwai commented, when I was pregnant in Japan, my weight was on track until we went back to the States mid-pregnancy. Then it was always over. My caretaker always brought it up that I need to be careful about gaining more, but never penalized with a diet journal. I hope they get off your back. Okay, so this is, this happened to me too. I was obviously completely on track during my first trimester, mainly because I was very sick. I did not gain that much weight at all. I was just like bloated a little bit. But then when I went back to New Jersey to get the NIPT and to visit family and stuff and to like tell people I was pregnant in person, I ate a lot of food and I gained a crap load of weight. And until then, my baby was in like the 20th percentile for size. And they were like, okay, like your baby's a little bit small, but like nothing to worry about. Like it's totally normal. You're still like really, really early on, blah, blah, blah. And then I went to the US, and when they checked me before the NIPT, they were like, oh, your baby's at like the 80th percentile for size. And during that exam, I was like, oh, I was told that the baby was always small. Like, I didn't know it could just like explosively get so big in a matter of weeks. And they're like, yeah, you must be eating well. So that was the US. And then when I came back from the US, and I went to my first OBGYN appointment here, is when they flagged me for being overweight. They were like, you're way too big for this stage of pregnancy. Your baby is at like the 80th percentile, so that stayed and that was fine, but their records indicated that I jumped from like 20th percentile to 80th percentile in a matter of a few weeks, and it really freaked them out, and they also were like, and you're bigger, so you know, that's a problem. I did eat a lot of junk when I was in New Jersey. I had a fat sandwich. That was probably not a good idea. I had really cheesy, oily, fatty French onion soup like 3 times. We went to Houston's and I ate a whole rack of ribs. Yes, It's not good. And Pimped Out 007101 commented, can they legally force you to stay this thin while pregnant? This seems to pose a legit health risk. I'm no doctor, but seems risky. I don't know any legal issues. Obviously, they can force me to stay this thin. Let me comment on that. I am not really that thin. I've never been very thin. I like to think of myself as very healthy and athletic. I used to run about 50 kilometers a week at the gym before I got pregnant, and I used to lift a lot of weights. I would do a mess load of squats, and I was always very dense. So I'm super short, but I weighed a lot, always, like throughout my whole life. I like to believe that that's because muscle is heavier than fat. I don't know if that's actually true, because like Japan definitely doesn't give a shit about that. But yeah, that's how I always like thought of myself as, right? Like I was never like real thin and skinny and like, I was just like healthy. I'm healthy. But for me anyway, staying this weight or staying within the weight range doesn't really seem to be posing a health risk. Obviously, Japan has lots of babies and the babies are fine, and the women here are very, very, very skinny. So I don't know. And Bailey 8D commented, oh, first of all, there is an adorable, adorable orange cat in the profile picture, and I just like want to pet it so bad. I need a cat in my life. Anyway, she wrote, wow, I'm so sorry. I felt so self-conscious this pregnancy. I can't imagine my OB telling me to lose weight. I actually spoke to my OB about weight gain. I gained 15 pounds in the first 4 months. She told me not to worry about my weight and that I was beautiful. So thankful for her. I'm gonna keep eating bread. Yes, keep eating bread. I want carbs and bread so bad. That is so nice that your OB was so sweet and kind to you. My OB is not that nice, but it's not like they're telling me I'm hideously overweight. They're just like, it's not good for you and the baby if you're overweight. So I'm trying not to take it too personally, but it is stressful, I will admit that. I do want to mention one thing about how the US has a different range for expected weight gain for a healthy pregnancy versus Japan. Where did it go? I have it right here. Okay, so in Japan, you are expected to gain 7 to 12 kilograms if you're of average weight to begin with and you're healthy. That's about 15 to 26 pounds. Whereas in the US, you are expected to gain 25 to 35 pounds. That's 10 pounds of a difference between the two countries. I did once ask my OB if the fact that I'm carrying a half-white baby changes what my weight gain range should be, because I showed her this. I was like, in the US, you're supposed to gain more weight. And she was like, no, you're not white. You're Japanese, stay in range. She's like, maybe if you were not Japanese, I would consider a different range for you, but basically, like, what am I talking about? It's what she said to me. So that logic did not work out for me, unfortunately. She just kept saying, like, you're not white though. Like, you're Japanese, aren't you? And next, Jenny commented, wow, that's so crazy. I also got criticized for gaining too much weight in Japan during pregnancy. They even told my husband to strictly control what I'm eating. In the end, my son was born completely fine with 2,973 grams at the 39th week. Congratulations. Despite them constantly telling me that my baby will be too heavy because I'm gaining too much weight, I ignored them because I knew my weight gain was completely fine back in my home country. As long as you are eating healthy, don't be bothered. Your baby needs food and not a diet. Okay, so this is really interesting because it kind of has to do with what I just talked about, where I'm surprised that they would criticize you if you're not Japanese, because my OB was actually very specific to me in saying that it would be different if you were a Western person, but you're not, so you better stay within our standards kind of thing, right? Like, that's basically what she said to me. It's kind of crazy to me that your OB here in Japan would criticize you so much when you're obviously of a different ethnicity. Especially now, ex post facto, your baby was clearly born healthy and fine. Also, I would like to mention this other very offensive thing. They even told my husband to strictly control what I'm eating. Okay, so this is one of those archaic things I can't stand about Japan. They don't tell my husband to control me because he's the foreigner and I'm Japanese, so they just like tell me directly. But oftentimes, if you're both Japanese, doctors will literally tell your husband to control you. It's one of my least favorite things about Japan, but it's even in our language still. There are many different ways to say husband, like danna, otto, but the most classic and actually the most like formal way to say husband is goshujin-sama, which literally means master. I don't like that, obviously. And next, Christopher Alfred wrote, the list of US foods not to eat makes sense. Some US foods are just disgusting. What's allowed in hot dogs is disturbing. I completely agree. The US definitely has a food problem. Like what's allowed in food and what's allowed in hot dogs is very problematic. However, I freaking love hot dogs and corn dogs. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like my #2 favorite food ever. I didn't have any when I was in New Jersey, but I was very, very tempted to. If I went to like a barbecue, probably would have had one. And Susie wrote, I watched Megan Bowen go through the exact same weight shaming during her pregnancy in Korea. It seemed so immensely damaging psychologically, and it's obviously stressed you out too. The idea that pregnant women shouldn't be gaining any weight in later months of pregnancy is insane. Obviously, preventing obesity and gestational diabetes is warranted, but shaming pregnant women to the point that they don't eat food for fear of being shamed further is wrong, especially as both of you aren't obese. Okay, I love Megan's videos. I watch them very, very often. She is so much fun, and I actually did specifically watch this video of hers as well. Hers was shocking considering she was carrying twins. And I cannot believe that she survived on salads and did cardio towards the end of her pregnancy. That was just completely absurd to me. I'm not gonna do that. I can barely make it up the stairs. I would never be able to handle cardio at this point in pregnancy or like further beyond this point. After watching Megan's video, it does seem like Korea is significantly stricter than Japan. However, they do kind of still fall under the same issue. The other thing I noticed is that Korea and Japan are the only ones that make you want to restrict your weight during pregnancy. I had a lot of other commenters from Taiwan or from China saying that weight gain is celebrated there during pregnancy. Like obviously not like too much and stuff, not to an unhealthy degree, but they would never tell you to lose weight or go on a diet. So I thought that was really, really interesting. Normally there are a lot of parallels between like China, Korea, and Japan. However, the weight control during pregnancy thing is something that is very specific to Japan and Korea. And gâteau Q, I don't know how to read French. I'm so sorry, I probably sound like an idiot, but yeah, I read it in like the weird Japanese French way that we would read it, gâteau. Anyway, it's kind of a high-risk pregnancy from what you said in the first video, but sure, gaining a few pounds is the actual menace here. I hope your weigh-in is perfect and they lay off. That food is also healthy and looks delicious. Thank you so much. My weigh-in was fine. I was like just shy of a few grams, so they were like, you're good. Just keep the weight off because it's about to get harder. I'm like, okay, great. But yes, it's true. I am considered a high-risk pregnancy. But the high risk factor isn't for my baby, it's actually for me, mainly because I have a lot of scar tissue and damage in there, down there, and I have a lot of nerve damage. So they told me that if I gain too much weight and my physical body gets too large and stretches too much, that nerve damage might get worse and stretch downwards or upwards or everywhere and such, and it might make like my condition worse, and it would make recovery significantly worse, because if you have nerve damage, you can't recognize that something is wrong down there. So yes, you are absolutely right in that my specific high-risk pregnancy factor is why they're pestering me so much about the weight gain. And Michael Berthelsen wrote, the reason why Japan is way stricter regarding BMI is that Asian people are genetically more predisposed to heart disease at lower levels of overweight. The Japanese healthcare system has basically shifted all BMI categories down one level compared to Western BMI classifications. That said, you're pregnant, it's normal to gain weight and better to be overweight than underweight during pregnancy. So this is really interesting because I've also read that Japanese people in particular are more susceptible to things like diabetes at lower levels of overweight, which is why they're so strict here. However, as much as there may be a lot of medical credibility as to why Japan is like this, there's also definitely a cultural and social problem here in Japan and how we view weight gain. We unfortunately have a very, very bad mental health care system in Japan, and they don't really classify, treat, or help eating disorders unless it's ridiculously severe. So that's really a problem, that they don't recognize eating disorders at different levels. Tracy Wu asked, did you ever talk about why you don't want to be pregnant and deliver in the States? Those rules about weight are honestly crazy to me. Interestingly enough, in Chinese culture, you aren't allowed watermelon when pregnant. Don't think there's a science behind it, probably because it's a cold food, sucked for me who gave birth in August. So I didn't talk about why I didn't want to be pregnant and deliver in the States, but I thought it was kind of obvious. It's because I live here and I have insurance here, and if I were to go to the US just to deliver, it would cost me like $30,000, $40,000. I don't want to do that. That's scary too. King JH0510, holy crap, American healthcare being cheaper than Japanese healthcare. Only in the NIPT aspect. It was that one specific test that is cheaper in the US and somehow $2,000 in Japan. Even with the conversion rate, it's astronomically expensive here in Japan. But that's it. Otherwise, Japan definitely has the USB in terms of cheaper healthcare. And Wendy W95 asked, is your kid gonna have Japanese and American citizenship? I was born in the US and my mom is Japanese, and so I had both citizenship. I'm curious about kids born in Japan. Okay, that's interesting. My child is going to have dual citizenship because I'm giving birth in Japan and my husband is American. So they will automatically have American citizenship. However, I was told that my child wouldn't get Japanese citizenship unless I give birth to her here. Honestly, not that it really matters anyway, because I think once they turn either 18 or 20, they have to renounce one of their citizenships, which is a little bit sad. You don't get to keep dual forever unless you hide it. Bones Shrinking Coyote asks, if your kid doesn't have black hair by the time school comes around, will you be forced to dye the hair black, or is that just an old rule that's no longer enforced over there? Also, congratulations. Thank you so much. In the Inaka countryside where I reside, it is still a thing here. You cannot not have black hair. You must have black hair. It's really messed up, right? When I was in middle school, my mom was considering moving back to Japan, and I actually interviewed at a bunch of different private middle schools and public middle schools here. And I had my ears pierced and my hair was dyed, I think brunette, kind of like what it is now, probably a little darker than this. And they, off the bat, told me that I have to put Band-Aids on my ear holes every single day and that I have to dye my hair jet black or else they won't accept me. And I obviously really didn't like that, having grown up in New Jersey. And granted, that was a long time ago. That was like 2002 or 3. But yeah, that is still the case around here. It's probably not the case in cities like Tokyo or Osaka or anywhere with a large international population. But yeah, still a problem if you are a country bumpkin. Novelas2 asked, do you have any plans on raising the child in terms of language? Well, I think she will naturally be bilingual. Mike and I speak English in the house primarily, and since she's born here, she'll be interacting with a lot of Japanese people. I'm gonna try to make sure she has the same amount of exposure to both languages. I would really like her to be like trilingual, but I wouldn't know what the third language would be. The one thing that I'd really like for my child to learn is sign language from really, really early on. Mike and I are actually trying to learn sign language right now so that we can teach her as well while acquiring English and Japanese. But yeah, those are the 3 that we plan on. Topnotch97 wrote, wait, didn't she visit that penis shrine a while back? Now I see the connection. Okay, so I did visit the penis shrine, and you know what? You're right. I'm kind of scared that that's why or how I got pregnant, which is really, really weird. I visit this penis shrine a lot, and I've never gotten pregnant before, but yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to think that maybe that has something to do with it. By the way, I didn't go to the penis shrine to be like, get me pregnant. Like, I just went there for fun, and I thought it would be funny to show you guys. And Dark Rain Cometh wrote, hey, this is a blessing. Congratulations, Mom. Thank you. This is one of those times when I love it when a doctor is wrong. Any names picked out? This baby is going to be a cutie. I hope so. Thank you so much. Names are a very big problem. We have some tentative ideas for names, but the biggest problem is that we have a very specific criteria to fulfill, and it's that the name is equally and appropriately English and Japanese at the same time, which there aren't a lot of names that do that. For example, my name, Reina, would have been great because it's perfectly a Japanese name with an associated kanji and everything. If you read it out loud in Japanese, you wouldn't think anything other than that it's a Japanese name. But it's also very much an English pronounceable name, Reina. It doesn't sound super foreign at all whatsoever. And it's Spanish, and it means queen. Like, I love my name. We want a name like that, obviously, and we don't want it to be super Japanese where, like, for example, if we name her like Kimiko, obviously you could pronounce it in English, but it's so very, very Japanese that it's really hard to dissociate the identity of being Japanese from the name. So yeah, this is really extremely difficult. I also want a unique name. I want a name that is not on any baby list whatsoever. I don't want a popular name. I don't want a name that could rise in popularity in the next 10 years or whatever. I know this is, it's really, really specific and difficult, and yeah, I don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. Is it safe to have a baby at this age? I'm assuming you are referencing my fake source-fed age of 42. It's fine. All right, that is it for now. Thank you so much for leaving such lovely comments and interesting questions in my videos. I love reading them and appreciate them so, so much. Now, before we head out to the Omatsuri, let's take a little snack break with Bokksu, who so generously sponsored today's video. Bokksu is my favorite subscription service. They deliver premium Japanese snacks and tea pairings straight to your home. They source rare snacks from all over Japan and partner with family businesses to create signature treats that you can't find anywhere else. Every time you receive your Bokksu, you can feel good knowing that you are supporting real family businesses and artisan snack makers in Japan. For your first Bokksu, you'll receive a Seasons of Japan box that lets you taste all the seasonal flavors that are popular in Japan, and every month after that, you'll get a themed box just like this one. This month's theme is Omatsuri Nights. I did not plan this! I know you probably don't believe me, but I really didn't plan this. This month we got some caramel almond okaki, chocolate sandwich cookies, some Hakata strawberry rangudosha, takoyaki flavored hapitang. These are so, so good. I'm gonna have one right now. Oh, maybe I should give this to my grandma. No, I'm gonna have one right now. Itadakimasu. so good. It actually tastes like takoyaki. Some kari kari curry okaki, which I have to try this too. Ooh, itadakimasu. Oh, I really like this. Okaki are like mochi snacks. They're light and delicious. Some hojicha candy, and look at this fancy warabi mochi. And there's still so much more. If you like what you see and like to try Bokksu out for yourself, head to the link in my description below and use my coupon code Reina15 to get $15 off your first Bokksu order. All right, now let's head out to the omatsuri. I'm so excited. All right, got my hand sanitizers, got extra masks. We got lots of Gatsby for all the sweat. And we're ready to go! I'm so excited! So my mom is working at the festival right now as a part of the shrine, and she said that there aren't too many people right now, which is great. They just finished their first round of shagiri. Shagiri is, oh my god, I don't know how to explain shagiri. What's shagiri? Shagiri って何? どう説明するの? The music thing. Chan 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 chikirin chikirin. Chan 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 chikirin chikirin. I don't know how to explain. Okay, anyway. The first round of Shagiri Gassen ended, so there should be even fewer people now. Okay. Really, really hoping that there's no crowd. And I'm also hungry. Are we gonna get Ika?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want Ika.
We're getting everything.
Yay!
Are we kidding?
Yatta! This isn't bad at all. I'm having so much fun.
Ridiculous looking.
Itadakimasu. I don't know how to. They're like fingers.
That's why we got it. Hot.
And spicy.
大通り道な感謝境内での飲食は水分補給以外はご遠慮ください。皆様のご協力をお願いいたします。マスク着用、生理の消毒、検温、こまめな水分補給。
You're supposed to eat the whole thing in one go like Tom and Jerry. What are you doing?
It's scary. I had so much fun. I am so satisfied and happy that I finally got to do an omatsuri walk. I ate way too much food, as you saw, and I'm definitely not gonna make it at my next weigh-in, but I don't care. It was so worth it. Also, I have to note that I was very impressed with how spaced out everything and everyone was. It is normally so much more chaotic than that. This year, we had police standing by directing traffic, telling people to stay on the left side, hidari gawa tsuko. So, you know, in Japan, you generally walk on the left side, just like how our cars are on the left side of the road. And even though there wasn't anything in the middle separating the people from like the left side and the right side, everybody still stayed in their lanes and they kept distance from the people in front of them. It was very wonderful. This is a 3-day event and they have different things going on every single day, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to go back again and participate or do anything. I'm just a little bit too busy with work, but that's okay. I don't want to push my luck. Again, I'm super happy and satisfied with what I got to do today. But anyway, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm just gonna spend the rest of my time in this air-conditioned room. This is actually gonna be the baby's room, and we've accumulated a good amount of stuff. A lot of the big things are hand-me-downs from my cousin and her kids, but we got a bunch of new things as well. It's really exciting that it's kind of coming together. We are very, very behind though. My cousin asked me today if I have my hospital bag ready, and I was like, why would I have it ready? I'm only at 28 weeks. And she's like, you were born premature at 30 weeks, so... And I was like, oh, right, anything can happen! And on that frightening note, I really am gonna call it a night, especially because my clay mask is starting to harden and it's becoming more and more difficult to talk and smile and move my mouth. And also, I just saw myself in the viewfinder and it's very scary. But yeah, that is gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and for leaving me so many fun and interesting comments. I love reading them. Thank you so, so much. And next week is my birthday, so Mike and I are going to do a little birthday / baby moon hotel stay. It's gonna be a really nice little ryokan in Hakone. I am planning to vlog some of it, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, otherwise that is it. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Oyasumi! I can't smile anymore because it's like really actually hard against my face now. Oyasumi! Kawaii!